This video is designed for anybody who is feeling stuck in an area of their lives. So if you are feeling like you've hit a plateau in your relationships, in your professional career, in your parenting, with friends, or even just in your own personal healing journey, this video is for you. I'm Joelle, and I am on a mission to help you heal the past, be at peace in the present, and create a future you love so you can live your joy. Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Joelle Faucette. I am a life coach, a trauma alchemist, a somatic practitioner, and a Reiki master. I am the founder of Mind, Body, Soul, and I'm so glad that you are here today. Today we are tackling the topic of limiting beliefs. So, what is a limiting belief? Well, we all know what beliefs are, right? So let's start there. A belief is simply something that you repeat over and over in your head until it is your truth. It is something you live out of. And sometimes these are very rational things. These are things that we think about in our heads and we're like, I'm making that mental commitment to live out of this place. Other times, beliefs are things that are more in the body, where there is a somatic reaction or experience in the emotional part of the body or in the physical part of the body that is reflective of a deeply seated belief. So beliefs can be conscious or subconscious. Either way, they are still beliefs. Some examples of these different types of beliefs would be, conscious belief might be, I'm sure they meant well. I'm sure that all people probably mean well. It's making that conscious choice to say, yeah, I'm going to choose to believe X, Y, and Z. It could be something religious or spiritual. It could be something about your health or wellness, where you are consciously choosing to believe X, Y, and Z. Like, I'm going to believe that these supplements are going to help me, so that's why I'm going to purchase them. Subconscious beliefs, we don't have that rational control or power. Subconscious beliefs don't live in the mind. They live in the body and in the emotional. So a subconscious belief often looks like a reaction to something, and these are the things that we don't filter through a brain cell before we say or do. So this might be children running around the house and all of a sudden mom explodes. Why can't you just be quiet? Something like that comes out of a deeply somatic belief. That person needs something that they're not getting. The things that you do immediately or the reactions you have without thinking about them, most of the time are based on subconscious belief systems. So you could feel a certain way when somebody walks in the room, whether that's happiness or maybe you go into fight or flight. That is a subconscious belief. When you're asked about something or feel irritation or anger when someone questions you, subconscious belief systems. These things exist in the body and usually were adopted when we were young. All belief systems, life affirming or limiting, are like glasses. Right? They're like these things where we pick them up and we put them on and then we see the entire world and experience our lives through these lenses. The problem is that most of the time we don't know we're wearing glasses, especially with those subconscious beliefs. So a limiting belief is a lens through which you see the world that prevents you from living a authentic and aligned life. I'll say that again. A limiting belief is a lens through which you see the world that prevents you from living an authentic and aligned life. And I believe that we are all designed to live a life of love, peace, joy, and freedom. That your most aligned life and my most aligned life and somebody overseas, their most aligned life is an expression, a unique expression of love, peace, joy, and freedom. What prevents us from doing this, right? What would stop us from just seeing, oh, this isn't working for me and taking the glasses off, right? With rational limiting beliefs, it is a lot easier. It's a lot easier to identify limiting beliefs that exist in the brain because we think about them, we are aware of them, right? Or maybe you've had a friend or a relative or even a coach like me point out to you like, hey, maybe that's not true, that thing that you're saying. I'll tell you a little story. For me, the first time I encountered one of my own severely limiting beliefs was when I was visiting with my cousin. She is practiced in many of the different healing arts. In that conversation, I was speaking with her about my ex-husband. And I was saying to her, he's been doing this, he's been doing that. I was venting, essentially. And she looked at me and kind of cocked her head and said, you have a story, a limiting belief. You have a story that this man doesn't want to be a good dad. It hit me like a sack of bricks. Now, I wouldn't recommend necessarily doing that unless you know the person really well. Even in my coaching practice, I don't often kind of just lay out somebody's limiting beliefs like that because, as the saying goes, unasked for advice is taken as criticism. And if somebody isn't ready to hear and absorb that type of feedback, they will always take offense to it. I, however, was in a state where I was ready. I was in a place where I couldn't figure out what was getting in my way, and I felt like I was bashing my head on a ceiling with understanding why my ex-husband couldn't do X, Y, and Z, right? I was very upset and frustrated about it. And at the end of the day, what actually needed to shift was me. It wasn't him. It was how I was being with him. And that was my first experience of witnessing for myself how much shifting a limiting belief can profoundly impact your life. And that is why I invite you into this conversation. I invite you to start doing some self-reflection. Because when we are willing to look and start to peel back the layers and identify our own limiting beliefs, that is when the world opens up. Now, a part of the state of being human is the fact that we are not perfect. And this is a never-ending process. I truly believe that our journey back to love, that we are born into love, we are born into alignment, and then we kind of forget it along the way because we're born into an imperfect world with imperfect parents in an imperfect system. And that journey back to that state of aligned, authentic love is the healing journey. But we can't do that unless we are willing to look at ourselves. We're willing to examine our own belief systems about things. And you always know that a belief system is ready to be looked at when you feel like you keep bashing your head against a glass ceiling. Like something is stopping you. You know something is there, but you have no idea what it is. You can't see it. So a good example might be you are continually dating the same type of person in the same type of relationship that ends the same way every time, and you can't figure out why. Or you are continually unfulfilled in your career. You're continually having the same arguments with your spouse. You're continually struggling with your children in the same way over and over and over again, and the cycle continues. And as frustrating and as aggravating as these patterns can be, we can shift our mindset around them to look at them like a beautiful invitation. When patterns happen, that is our bodies inviting these experiences into our lives. Remember, you are a magnet. You are so much more powerful than you think you are. You are a manifester of your deepest desires. Now, when your deepest desires are limiting beliefs that are stuck in there, that's not so great. It's terrifying to manifest out of negative belief systems, right? And we wind up with these deep-seated subconscious limiting beliefs manifesting and pulling into our lives these patterns that are not enjoyable. And until we are willing to be like cut the crazy, stop, and instead of trying to change everything outside of ourselves, another diet won't fix this, ladies, okay? Cleaning your house isn't going to solve this. Gentlemen, a new career path isn't going to do it for you. Nothing out there can shift what you are manifesting from in here. You will always manifest what is in your heart. Always, every time. So if something isn't working for you in your life, or you feel like you are on repeat, it is a beautiful invitation to take a look at that and be willing to go through the process of uncovering what is holding you back. Because I promise you, once this shifts, once you go over that tipping point, your entire life opens up. Everything changes. Limiting beliefs we can look at. There are limiting beliefs about other people, and then limiting beliefs about ourselves. Limiting beliefs about other people and those rational beliefs, right? Those are pretty easy to identify and usually come out as something we say on repeat without really questioning ourselves. This might look like, oh, everyone's a bad driver. They're all just bad drivers, which he's just a human being. That's it. Just like you and me. Just human. Right? If I could push the envelope a little bit here, I would say a limiting belief would be something like Trump is evil. Just on repeat, right? Democrats are insane. They're just insane. They got all these crazy ideas. They're just people. Just normal people, right? Oh, my sister's a shopaholic. So limiting beliefs about other people often are spoken in ways that sound like judgment. Now, every limiting belief that we have about somebody else always goes back to some subconscious limiting belief we have about ourselves. So if we are constantly having a problem with other people, most of the time that's probably going to go back to a limiting belief that has to do around trust with yourself. Or if we're constantly aggravated and angry with other people, especially when other people have success or life is going well for them in their career or their relationship, whatever it is, most of those times, those external limiting beliefs are going to go back to a subconscious limiting belief about your own worthiness, your own capacity for joy, and your own capacity for success. Always remember the outside world is a mirror of your own internal state. So those judgments that come out of your mouth and those beliefs about other people are always a reflection of what's going on in here. And I'll tell you, only people who are hurting in here have hurtful things to say or believe about other people out there. When you are complete inside, things get real complete in your life real quick. One of the reasons why this is so important and why I believe that this conversation is super relevant right now is because I believe the world is desperately in need of authentic and vulnerable and honest conversations. Right now, we've got a lot of chitter chatter, we've got a lot of chaos, we've got a lot going on in America right now, and a lot of people have put on their armor and gotten their swords and gotten their shields out and essentially have put their guard on against others. It's really, really hard to have a country or a group, a family of people who are in alignment and have each other's backs when we're all guarded against each other. I would actually say it's impossible. The problem with limiting beliefs is when I'm wearing a pair of glasses and I see you through that pair of glasses, I believe I'm already right about you. I already have a complete agenda going into that conversation. Heads up, this is why we don't like sales calls, right? This is why your stomach will naturally get like, ugh, against somebody who is preaching at you. Nobody wants to be preached at. When somebody has an agenda in a conversation, it is no longer a conversation, it is a lecture, okay? So in order for me to genuinely be with you, for me to listen to you, for me to sit and feel like I can witness you without my guard, I have to take these off. I have to be willing to sit and let go of my own junk to actually see you. That's why this is so important. And I get that it can be terrifying. It can be terrifying to look at some of these deep-seated beliefs inside of you. It can feel like you're climbing a mountain when you look at this stuff, because a lot of this stuff we picked up in childhood. When we're kids, we don't have the ability to witness something and not make it about us. So when we go through childhood experiences, we interpret it as a belief about us. And that little voice in our heads that's always desperately trying to keep us safe will witness something and say, oh, mom and dad are always arguing. Okay, that must mean that I'm making them argue, that I'm the problem. If only I disappeared, then everything would be good. Has anyone ever had that belief? If only I wasn't here, then the world would be perfect. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. So we pick up that pair of glasses as a child in a desperate attempt to make sense of the world around us and in order to stay safe. And then we bring it with us into adulthood. And then the problem is we don't even know we're wearing these glasses, but every time we walk into a situation or every time we have a conversation, we are witnessing and experiencing that through the lens of it's all my fault. And it makes it impossible to truly live a fulfilled and authentic life. With that, if you have gotten any value out of this video, I invite you to go ahead and smash that subscribe button. I would love to have you along for the journey. I created a resource for you to help you start to go through this process on your own. I will link it below. It is 25 pages long, and I would love to hear from you if it is helpful. I am so passionate about this work. This is why I still work with my coach and why I absolutely love working with others to be a guide for you on your healing journey. Again, my goal every time I work with clients is not to take these beliefs and be like, you gotta fix this, right? I learned a long time ago that that's not my place. My place as a guide is to help you unravel and discover these things for yourself. My place as a guide is to hold the container and gently help you shift out of these negative beliefs. Because at the end of the day, nobody can do this for you. Only you can take those steps. Thank you guys so much for joining this conversation. Definitely comment below, check out that resource, and I'll see you next time.